Hey folks, welcome to another live Q&A. We do this every 2 weeks. By now you should know that. This is our fifth or sixth one, whatever it is. Thank you for joining. We are excited to have you here. We have quite a few people in the chat. We have 62 people right now. I see a lot of names that we see all the time. We have Matt Bagwell. Matt, thanks for joining. We have Michael, I think a Texas Arch drone guy. We have Ryan is in here. I see Steven said he's from New Zealand. Welcome. That's awesome. Don't know what time it is there. Probably either early in the morning or mid-morning, something like that. Thorel's Inspired is in here. Question on remote ID. We'll get to that. Who else? Puerto Rico Drone Zone, CFR 14 Part 107. That's a long name right there. And we have EC360 Views. I know he or she said had questions about traveling to Puerto Rico or traveling somewhere. We have Tom. Tom is our real pilot. He's our flight instructor that's looking from behind the scene here in case people misbehave. He's going to be ready to take them down along with Maddie. Maddie's Drone World. Thanks, Maddie, for being an admin for us. Same for Matt. And then Jason. Jason and the rest of the team are actually on the road right now. They are driving to Ohio to go to Flight Fest. And so they just left this morning. They're going to be driving for the next 2 days, bringing a huge tent at Flight Fest and helping people over there to do the trust certificate and amongst other things. So we have quite a bit going on. We have a skeleton crew left here in Arizona, but we'll do our best tonight. So I usually have people from my team filtering all the questions. I'm going to be the one going through all the questions today. So be patient with me as I read the questions and try to figure them out. And but yeah, we're going to get started pretty soon here. I think it looks great. Did we apply a lot, Ben, on this? Did we apply a lot? Or I look pretty pale on the screen. We'll see. If I look a little bit pale, I think it's because we're still on log. I don't think we have applied a lot right now. Okay, so let's get started with the questions. You guys look like you're comfortable. Yeah, somebody said we're in D-Log, and we are in D-Log. Oh, you see the changes? There you go. Look at that. We're no longer in D-Log, folks. Thanks to Ben. Ben stepping in to help behind the camera to do all this. So now it looks like I'm actually not flushed, even though I'm never really all that tan. Okay, let's get started with questions. So there was a question here about DJI and remote ID. Let me find it real quick. Just watched a video on network remote ID being deaf to DJI in 4 to 5 years. Thoughts? I don't think remote ID and DJI have really anything to do with each other. If anything, remote ID is going to somewhat help DJI because DJI has most of their drones ready to go, and they basically have remote ID already in the box. So I don't think remote ID is going to be anything for DJI. They were actually a pretty big proponent of remote ID in general. When that came out. So no, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Let's see, drone-related topics, please. Yes, drone-related topics in here. You can ask all your questions. I'm going to try to answer them. I follow UAV information platform from the US, in part because whether we like it or not, FAA regulation around UAV can impact how other regulators might proceed. Stephen, that's from New Zealand. I agree. The US usually kind of leads the way in aviation regulation. So somebody's asking about a question to Colombia. I think EC360 Views, I think they'll get to it in a second here. What happens if you don't have remote ID and you fly anyway? And what is going on with remote ID? That's a good question. This is a question from Eric. I'm going to say this. If you fly without remote ID, probably no one will know, quite frankly. I hate to say it that way, but up until the point where something happens, and then there's an investigation, and then the FAA finds out that you didn't have remote ID, then things might get pretty complicated because now you've broken regulation and they can issue a fine. So it's just like everything else, right? What happens if you drive 100 miles an hour on the road and nobody notices? Well, nothing happens. Obviously, you could get into an accident with remote ID. it's not going to cause an accident. But it's always the same thing, right? Everything is fine until it's not. And then somebody starts to dig, and then they find out you haven't registered your drone, you don't have remote ID, you were flying over 400 feet. They start to dig in, and then now you're in trouble. So that's what's going to happen. Is there going to be an FAA inspector behind every airport or around every airport looking to see if you have remote ID? Probably not. So I'm not going to worry too much about that bit. Okay, can local government facilities like a school district override FAA regulation on flying? No, absolutely not. This is MJ video 525. No, the federal government, local government, and especially not a school district cannot override regulation on flying. They cannot control the airspace. They can only control what you do to and from the land, to and from the school itself. So if they have school property and they own that property, they can prevent you from taking off and landing on their property, but they cannot restrict you from flying over their property. So this is the case for anything. Local municipalities can't do that. States can't even do that. The only time that you cannot fly over a specific area is if there is an airspace restriction that's controlled by the FAA. So keep in mind, this is a question we get all the time. Thank you for asking, MJ, but that's basically the bottom line. Okay, somebody says you're in log no longer. All right. When Twitch streamers on monetized channel fly drones for content, do they need Part 107 certification? If you question them, they'll say this isn't a company, so I don't need one. Yes, anybody who is flying, this is from Ryan Busoni. Anybody who is flying for non-recreational purposes needs to have a Part 107 certificate. If it's on a monetized channel, on Twitch, on YouTube, on whatever you want to call it, yes, you absolutely need Part 107. Being a company doesn't matter. An individual person needs Part 107 in order to monetize the use of drones. So yes, they would absolutely need a Part 107. Okay. Greetings from Charlotte. That's Brian. Your video looks washed out. I think I'm still reading old comments here. Yes, it does. We cleaned that up, I think. Oh, my mouse just jumped. Okay. Ugh. Looking good. All right. Maddie said, no biggie. Greg can be any color and be famous. I don't know about that. All right. Damn, what is going on? My mouse just jumped a bunch of comments. You guys are leaving a lot of comments. Okay. Well, hopefully I didn't miss anything here. Puerto Rico is domestic destination from mainland. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but yes. Any update on Part 108 license previously discussed? No, not really. You know, Part 108, a lot of YouTubers made a big deal of Part 108. Part 108 was never really in the FAA's mouth. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but Part 108 was just something that came out of a drone advisory committee, a document. It was a recommendation to the FAA, and everybody kind of ran with Part 108. So we don't know that it would be called Part 108. We don't know that it would even exist. So there are some changes that are coming up with the FAA Reauthorization Act. So the latest on that, I talked about this a little bit last week or during our news update, but essentially what's going on is that we have the FAA Reauthorization Act that happens every 5 or so years, and then we're due now in 2023. So in September, the FAA ceases to exist if the FAA Authorization Act doesn't get approved. Now we have a Senate bill and then a House bill right now that are being proposed in order to become the FAA Reauthorization Act. So the idea is that they're working on those two bills and that they're going to combine them and then come up with the final Reauthorization Act. So there's still some work that needs to be done. I read the House version, which was about 80 pages. I haven't read the Senate version just yet, which I'm going to do this week. And then based on that, around September, I think we will have a final version. So that's when I'm going to do a video. I was going to do a video early, but I think it's a little bit too early right now to mention anything. So I'm just going to wait and then give you guys some information by then. Okay, my question today isn't about regulation, but more about the alarming suggestion DJI might be banned from even recreational use in the US. Stephen, I think that bill is finally dead in the water. I know it was kind of alarming, and absolutely is. I think it's gone for now. We're going to keep an eye in case it comes back. This was a kind of a resurrection of an old bill, and I think it died soon after. So I'm going to say the DJI topic of being banned in the US, I'm going to say it's probably closed at the moment until something else comes up. Okay, somebody says, I guess we're all supposed to use LUT. Yeah, you should be using LUTs. LUTs look a lot better. Okay, what is the rationale for the proposed ban, and what will the likely implication be for both amateurs and professional users of this particular platform? So the rationale initially is that, and this has been going on for several years now with DJI, the battle between the government and DJI, is that DJI supposedly shares all of your information with the Chinese government. And so there's been this movement to try to ban DJI based on that. Quite frankly, there still hasn't been any concrete proof that has been shown that this is what's going on, which is why I've been reluctant to throw the stone at DJI until we have, something a little bit more concrete. But that's just my point of view at this stage. All right. Somebody's asking, Texas Arch Drone Guy, Flight Fest is great. It's great. I've attended 5 times. Josh and his crew are very family oriented. Yes, Flight Fest is a blast. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to partake this year, but we did send 4 people out there, so I know they're going to have a blast taking a lot of footage, and then we should be back probably next year again. Okay, better now, looking good. I took my crush test today. What's a crush test? And never get my certificate. How do I do that? Oh, trust test, I'm guessing. Wallace. So Wallace, when you're done with the certificate, make sure that you screenshot. I'm guessing you did it on an iPhone. I know there's a bit of a bug on some of the iPhones out there that we've been trying to chase down. So make sure you do a screenshot of the certificate before you close that window. I have a trust certificate. I'm not clear whether or not I can fly at night or not. Yes, good question, Sid. With the trust certificate, you're flying under recreational rules, so you're flying for recreational purposes. You can fly at night as long as you get authorization if you are close to an airport or an airspace that needs authorization. But yes, you absolutely need to, you can absolutely fly at night. Make sure you have a light on top of your drone, and make sure that you follow CBO guidelines for night flying. So pick a CBO. If you don't know what a CBO is, go on our YouTube channel here and then check the videos. We have one on CBOs explaining what they are and then reviewing 3 of the CBOs right now. So go and check that out. Gabby Ortiz is saying, is the 250-gram registration limit for commercial purposes only, or only recreational? Well, it's the opposite. So Gabby, 250 registration limit is only for recreational purposes. So if you have a drone that you fly for commercial or non-recreational purposes, you need to register it regardless of weight. If you're flying for recreational purposes and your drone is less than 250 grams, 0.55 pounds, then you don't need to register it. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is on takeoff, the takeoff weight. So if you put any accessories on top of your drone that make it more than 250 grams, then it needs to be registered. Lens capture online, a familiar face. What happens if you let your Part 107 lapse? Is there any time limit on taking the recurrent? That's a good question. No, your Part 107 certificate, your remote pilot certificate does not expire. Only your currency expires. So if something happens, then you can let it lapse. The only thing is you're not current anymore, so you cannot exercise the privileges of your certificate until you do the recurrent training on the FAA website, faasafety.gov. It's free, takes about 2 hours to complete, and then you're good for 24 calendar months. So nothing really happens other than the fact that you can't fly under Part 107 anymore. I got a DJI Mini SE. I wish I had remote ID built in. Yeah, unfortunately, I saw a message earlier, somebody screenshot in our group, about DJI mentioning that they weren't going to get older drones approved for remote ID. That's coming from the chat. Somebody took a screenshot. Apparently, the older models that haven't been approved probably are not going to get approved. So if you were hoping for your Mavic 2 Pro, for example, to get approved, it looks like it's not. So this is based on a screenshot that we saw from DJI support. My guess is that by now, if they wanted to do it, or if they could do it, it would have been done. So I think all hopes is done now, but we'll see. Okay, any new update? The Texas Arch Drone saying, any new update on remote ID modules? I've heard Holystone may have an economical device soon. Yes, Holystone got approved for a device recently. We're still trying to find a bit more information about it. I know there is more of them coming out around the corner. So I would say there's not a single winner at the moment that I have seen, but I've talked to 2 different groups that are working on modules that I know I can trust. So hopefully we'll have more information on that soon. They are currently waiting because they're building their supply. So they don't want to mention that they have a device that works until they have enough of them to sell. So we'll have more on that very soon. I'm pretty excited about that. Well, I don't know if excited is the right word. I'm never really too excited about remote ID, but excited that some people can comply. Do you think the recent bill to ban DJI will actually go through? I think I answered that question already, but I'll say it again. I don't think so. I think that bill is finally dead in the water. But again, you never know when somebody else is going to propose the same thing. With the push for remote ID for drones, why isn't the FAA also pushing to require that all manned aircraft be equipped with ADS-B and turn it on no matter what altitude? Well, Jay, that is an absolutely great comment. We've been telling the FAA the same thing. If you want all drones to identify under a certain altitude, then you should require all manned aircraft to also identify under a certain altitude. And it shouldn't be difficult, quite frankly. So why they haven't done it, I don't know, quite frankly. I think it makes sense to me. This would be a great added value for drone pilots, especially if you have a drone that captures ADS-B. I just don't understand why they haven't done it. And I'm going to keep pushing for this. I met with Vic and we met in Colorado with the FAA, with several FAA people. And we did mention that. So we'll see where that goes. It's great that my DJI remote controller can get ADS-B signal. I agree, but I've had small aircraft sneak up on me because before, when flying in parks where commercial aircraft are showing up on my screen. Yep, that's a downside. I agree with that. All right. My understanding currently is that piloted aircraft don't have to turn on ADS-B when below 600 feet. It's a bit more complex than that. ADS-B regulation is all based on the type of airspace that you're in. So if you're in more complex airspace, then you have to turn it in. If you're less complex, then you don't have to. That's as simple as I can get it without going into all the details of the rule. So can I fly at a rest area in North Carolina or NO? What is NO? What state is that? I don't think it's a state. New Orleans? So can you fly at a rest area? It all depends. It's just like everywhere else. This is for Eric. It all depends on the airspace around that area. So if there's an airport nearby, there might be a restriction that says you cannot fly or you can only fly to a certain altitude. Make sure that you download the app called Before You Fly, which is free, which is made by the FAA. Technically, it's made by Aloft for the FAA. Or you can download Aloft Air Control. That's my recommendation. And then you'll be able to see the airspace and then see if you need authorization. That's the easiest way to do it.
I think he's asking, can I fly there or no?
Can I fly? Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I fly at a rest area or no? I thought it was in North Carolina or in NO, whatever state that is. Sorry. Greg will know better, but I believe it is in controlled airspace and blah, blah, blah. Okay, yep. All right, what else do we have? Did it jump again? Damn it. It keeps jumping. I see Jonathan Jackson is here. Welcome, Jonathan. Did my screen... Oh, no. What happened? My live chat. There you go. Okay, well, I'm going to start from the bottom and go back up. I want to make sure I don't miss any of you guys' comment. Oh, man. Okay, what's going on here? You guys are pretty fast at leaving comments, I have to say. And it's easier when I have a team here that helps me read all the comments beforehand. Wow, okay, I missed a lot. Okay, reached out. Woo. Okay, there you go. I'm back. Anything of interest from the new FAA reauthorization bill? Paul, good question. There's quite a few things in here. I don't know if I can summarize it because there was quite a bit, and I would have to go back and look at my notes. But there is some progress made on BV, or at least pushing the FAA to do more BV loss stuff. Pushing the FAA to get the waiver process to be easier. I like those things. There's some stuff about the use of remote ID in certain areas for large aircraft. Doesn't apply to people that fly smaller drones. It would be for flying drones larger than 55 pounds. Some stuff about agriculture, some stuff helping public safety agencies fly more easily, including the Forest Service. So there's quite a few things in here for firefighting that I think are pretty positive. There's nothing in there that I saw that I was like, oh, shoot, this is not a good thing. So nothing to really get my spidey senses going. We need to pay attention to this. But I haven't read the Senate version just yet, so I'll get to that eventually. Is remote ID going to be built into the DJI Mini SE, or is it too old? I'm going to say, Eric, it's probably too old, unfortunately, in this case. Don't bring politics into this. Yes, please don't bring politics into this. Thank you, Maddie. If I sell my drone, do I need to go and remove my registration number that was given to my drone? Yes. Big John Tech Review asking that question. I'm going to say yes, absolutely. If it was registered recreationally, remove the sticker that you have on there and then go into your listing under recreational rules. You have to technically list every single one of your drones, even though you're using the same registration number for it. If you haven't done that, then you don't have to go in there and remove it. If you did it under Part 107, you have a unique registration number. Go in there, edit the registration and cancel it and terminate it. I don't remember the exact term. And then remove it from your drone. Then you should be good to go. Remote ID module can be working from September 16, and the difference between remote ID module and network remote ID is what? Puerto Rico Drone Zone is asking. The difference between a module and a network, network remote ID. Let's get to this because I've heard some YouTubers that shall not be named that are trying to spread false information in this country when they don't live in this country. Read between the lines. Network remote ID is this idea that the FAA has planned for complex operation. Should we be worried about network remote ID as regular users? I'm going to say no, because the FAA only wants to use network remote ID for more complex operation. And that's how it was planned from the beginning, by the way. This is how it was planned for a long time ago. The FAA proposed to use network remote ID initially for everyone. There was a lot of pushback, rightfully so. So they abandoned the idea for normal operation, simple operation. If you're going to be doing beyond visual line of sight, long distance, flights, then network remote ID makes a bit more sense. So that's what we'll see in the future based on the concept of operation that the FAA has published. So the difference between Puerto Rico, I don't know if that was your question, but you did mention network remote ID. What we have now in the regulation is broadcast remote ID, which means that something on board of the aircraft is going to broadcast the signal locally within probably a mile or less. And then we have remote ID modules, which is the same technology, just added as a module on top of your drone. So I think I have my car key. I like my car key because it looks like kind of like what a remote ID module is going to look like. So this little thing right here would be put on top of your drone. That's a module, and it would broadcast the information on behalf of your drone because your drone is not capable of doing it natively, which would be standard remote ID, broadcast remote ID. Okay, I hope that answers the question. What's the best way to find out where a 107 test site is? Thorell's inspired. Test sites at the moment, there's only 6 of them, I think, in the country. There is, if you go on Google and you search FAA test site, they'll give you a list. Now, with that being said, it's not really available to everyone and anyone, so you can't really just do whatever you want there. You'll have to get their approval to get in. But yeah, look around and see if there is one. I know there is one in New York. I know there is one in North Dakota, and I can't remember the other ones. That's something actually that was in the FAA Reauthorization Act, where they had the ability to create more test sites across the country. So that was one of the mandates. Okay, it's not washed out, just out too bright. It's fine. I don't know what that means. Traveling to Bogota, Colombia next month with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. That sounds like fun. Reached out to the authorities, but no response via email. From research, sub 250 gram does not require approval. I don't know, actually. EC360 views, I am not familiar with Bogota and Colombia's rules, so make sure that you do your research. You don't want to get in trouble flying out there. I saw the term Part 108 on the FAA website. Yeah, the only place really where they talk about it is the DAC report, but it's not something that's on the radar because it hasn't been mandated by Congress for them to do anything about Part 108. So using Part 107, blah, blah, blah. Tech review, go to the drone zone. Colombia. Hi, Greg. Hi, Larry. Larry Johnston. I took my trust certificate today, never got my diploma. I think that's Wallace. We talked about this earlier. That's a good question. Let me see. Who else has a question? I'm still going through. I'm still pretty far behind here. On your pamphlet I received from your free FAA Drone Zone sticker says that flying at night in controlled airspace is not available for recreational pilots. I thought that had changed. Jim, I'm going to have to go look at that pamphlet. This has changed recently, so it's possible that we need to update it. Thank you for letting me know. I'll make a note of that and we'll go check. Okay, what else? You didn't have to register before entry. I don't know what that refers to. Do you have any recommendation for remote ID models for my DJI modules? I'm guessing. Tom, no recommendation at the moment. I'm gonna say what I said a couple weeks ago, which is there's just not enough remote ID modules, and it's too far out right now from September to do a review. So I'm going to wait until we have more on hand, then we'll do a full review and let you know which we prefer or which we recommend as far as remote ID modules. How would someone find a test site for the Part 107? Thorells Inspired, you go to PSI. I'm going to put a link right here. Actually, I have it as a shortcut. Go in on this website right here. You'll see find a test center or schedule a test center or schedule a test, and then you'll be able to find one. There's about 700 of them across the U.S., so it should be very easy for you to find one. Texas legislature ended May 29th, doesn't meet again until 2025. 2025. Therefore, no new drone laws. I seriously doubt they'll call a special session for additional drone legislature. Oh, interesting. Until 2025. How can they take that long of a break? Which is good. We don't need more. We don't need more regulation. Okay. More questions. Let's see. Is remote ID and DJI and banning just smaller or lesser drone company way to take over UAS business? I don't know what that means, Paul. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, more questions. Let me see. Flying tiny whoops at a park is going to be illegal. No, it is not going to be illegal. Gasfart 333. Wait, is that someone who's in our van driving right now? Gasfart 333, flying tiny whoops is not going to be illegal. The FAA, I'm going to say it clear and loud, the FAA has no interest in banning recreational flights in the United States. Think about it. Think about it for a second. If the FAA were to ban recreational flying in the United States, if that's what they wanted to do, how do you think this would work? How do you think, and I'm not saying you as in you that asked the question, I'm saying the people that are saying that the FAA wants to ban recreational flying, how do you think they would go about this? Why would you think they would go and do that? There's no possible reason why the FAA would want to do that. And I know we can have all of our tinfoil hats on and everything and say that the FAA hates drones and everything, but the bottom line is, they're not going to ban recreational flying in the United States, okay? So you can watch all these people that are trying to get views by saying, all these things, the FAA is this and that. The bottom line is they're not going to ban recreational flying. So I will bet my paycheck, I will bet whatever you want on that fact. That's not going to happen, okay? Okay, if your drone is flying, okay, that's Maddie answering question. Thank you, Maddie. If a person just flies for fun and does not have a Part 107, and I put my videos on YouTube, all man drone videos saying that. Okay, there's a second part to the question here. And say a month later, someone wants to buy that video. Can I sell it? That's a question we get a lot. All that matters, I'm going to try to explain as simply as I can. All that matters is the intent of the flight, at the time you do the flight. So I give this example in our course. I'm going to film my kids on a ski slope in the middle of somewhere, and all of a sudden, as I'm getting a video of them, in the back there's a video of something that happens, an avalanche or something that happens. Okay. If I get a footage of that, I come home and I was flying for recreational purposes. I come home and I put that on my Facebook page. It gets shared, it goes viral. And somebody from news media calls me and say, hey, we want to buy this footage from you. Can you sell that footage? And the answer is yes, because originally I took that footage for recreational purposes. The fact that someone came afterwards, the initial intent of the video was for me to fly for recreational purposes. Okay. So as long as your intent is to fly for recreational purposes, then you're fine. And if later on somebody wants to buy it, then that's fine. Now, if your buddy shows up and says, hey, I need you to take videos for my business, I want to put it on the website, that's different. It's no longer for recreational purposes because now the intent is to take that video to put it on the website. So in this case, you would need a Part 107 certificate. And I'll finish by saying this. The people that somebody asked earlier about somebody on Twitch that does this for the revenue generating website. In this case, their intent is to create more views, to create more money. The intent of the fly is no longer recreational. You need Part 107. Okay. Next question. Get to work with a Mavic 3 with a remote ID made from a master's project. It was great until the FAA rep asked where we bought it. Well, so remote ID modules have to have a DOC, a declaration of compliance, on the FAA website. So yeah, you're gonna have to go through that process. I'm using the Mini SE for recreational use only. I'm certified with the FAA, so I don't need remote ID. Okay, the Mini SE does not need remote ID if you fly for recreational purposes because it is under 250 grams. So that is correct, Eric. Panda Drone 413 says, just got here on time. Indeed, you did. Welcome on board. And All the Flying Saucers says, Reptilian Research Redux. I think they need remote ID. What do you think? Should start a movement. Remote ID for flying saucers. Okay. Jonathan Jackson is here. Okay, what else? If you fly over a large crowd indoors, for example, an indoor stadium, and you have an accident that causes significant damage, do you need to report it to the FAA? Ooh. John, good question. The FAA does not govern indoor flights. So no, you would not have to because you are not operating under Part 107. But who you might need to report it to is your insurance company. And if you don't have insurance, the people that you just injured or the property that you just injured will make sure that they come after you and probably take everything you own because you don't have insurance. So flying indoors, I see this all the time in forums where people say, well, flying indoors is not covered by the FAA. Yes, that is correct. But it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want willy-nilly. The insurance companies are still going to want their money in case something happens on either side of the equation. So be careful. Somebody says this is ridiculous. I agree. I don't know what it was about, but I agree. Should we keep purchasing DJI drones with the ban bill? I wouldn't want to spend my hard-earned money. I'm going to keep getting DJI drones, I can tell you that. So I'm not too worried about the bill anymore at this stage. Oh, no, we dropped all the way down again. Okay, well, I'm going to start from the bottom. Ooh. Sorry, it keeps dropping down and then I lose my train of thought. All right. Sorry, I got to catch up here. Well, hopefully I didn't miss too many of them. Jonathan says you should appoint someone else to give up the bad news and you give the good news. Yeah, let's get Jason to give the bad news. Bad news Jason, we'll call him. I think Jason is driving right now, so he can't say no. He's probably listening and giggling. Man, I don't know. I hope I didn't miss all these comments here. Okay, oh, there you go. I get it. I found it back. Woo! You guys are fast with the comments. Or maybe I'm slow at answering. I don't know. All right, let's say I ask to fly my drone over a crowd at a concert. How do I go about applying for category under subpart D? Daniel, if you're flying indoors, you don't. Oh, outdoors. You don't apply for categories under subpart D. So that's going to be done by, more than likely, by the manufacturer. Now, technically, you could, as an individual person, submit an application to get it approved, but you're going to need to find somebody with means of compliance, submit it, do the paperwork. It's going to be extremely expensive. So, unfortunately, flying over people in the United States at the moment is a bit of a unicorn. It's very difficult. You would need a specific categorized drone, 1, 2, 3, or 4. There's only one category 3 drone, no category 2, no category 4 that I know of, but there might be one. And then a few category 1. So Daniel, to fly over a crowd at an outdoor concert, I recommend a very long stick and a GoPro at the end of it. That's probably your best bet because it's just going to be difficult. Plus, you're going to need remote ID because that's going to be considered a open air assembly. And even with a category 1 drone, you would need a remote ID module on top of it. I'm curious, how do drone show company get authorization to fly large fleet of aircraft? Lucio. That happens with a waiver. So you can apply for a waiver under 107-200 that is going to allow you to waive some of the regulation. One of the regulation under Part 107 is you cannot fly more than one aircraft at a time. So if you can apply for a waiver, then they'll waive that requirement. Then you can fly more than one. If a person just flies for fun, does not have Part 107, and I put a video on YouTube. I think we've answered that question. Oh, weird. Okay. Get a 95 on my exam last week. Can't wait for my shirt. Congrats, Tracy. That's awesome. Congrats. Greg, you should appoint someone. Yeah, okay. We've talked about appointing Jason. Oh, are we having issues in the comments?
No.
Okay. Oh, to help. Okay. Old Man Drone. Okay. I was curious, how do drone shows? Well, I think I went back up a little too much. Okay. Damn, you guys leave a lot of comments, and I really want to try to answer as many as I can. I feel like some of the comments are being repeated. My suggestion, wait until the end of August. Yes, I agree. Wait for remote ID module. Got an FAA email, Paul says, saying that my registration expires in 6 months, long time away. When is the best time to renew? 30 days before, 6 months before. So, Paul, you can renew up to 6 months before, and it will use the date when it would have expired. So let's say you renew today and your registration was supposed to expire in 6 months. You'll get credit for that 6 months. So you can really renew anytime you want from 6 months before. Somebody says your moderator duties at account for recurrent training. I agree. Absolutely. You're doing good work for the community. Thank you, Maddie. How would someone find a Part 107 test site? I feel like some of the comments are coming back. Will I be able to see when I have the module on top of the drone? I don't know what that means. Okay. Is the FAA still working on getting more airports into LANs? Yes, that's something that happens on a regular basis, quite frankly. The FAA does add more airports. I think there's like 700 of them now. There's a ton of airports, and I know there's a push to add more military airports right now into the mix. So that is great. Is the Air2S remote ID compliant? Yes, it is remote ID compliant. Make sure you go on the DOC website for the FAA, and you'll be able to see it there. Somebody says problem with buying American drones is that there's no American company that can compete with DJI. Yes, it is very unfortunate. I have to agree with that at this stage. Does remote ID, okay, sorry, I'm just trying to read all the comments here and see if there is a question. Okay, scrolling down. I would love nothing more than to be able to buy an American drone. I agree with that. We have over 100 watching. Please take a moment and hit the thumbs up button. Thank you. 125 on right now. Check the DJI. Going through the process of obtaining my Part 107 was an interesting and fulfilling experience. I support doing it, even if you don't plan to do the 107 work. I agree with that. Biased, but I agree with that. I think it makes you a better pilot overall. So many anti-drone laws being passed. What organization can we join to fight back and advocate? There's only one organization I can recommend at the moment, and that's the Drone Service Provider Alliance, DSPA, headed by our friend Kenji Sugihara and Vic Moss. And these two guys do a ton. They need support. We put our money where our mouth is, and we support them every month by making a donation, and they help a lot. I work with them on a regular basis. Anytime we have an issue with local drone laws that are overreaching, we reach out to them. Every time somebody gets shot, their drone shot at, Vic and Kenji are here to help. Anytime there is something that needs to be pushed, they're here to help. They meet with the FAA on a regular basis. Both of them are in the AAAC, which is the Advanced Aviation something committee. And so they're a great organization to help, non-for-profit, and your money will be put to good use. And you don't have to, you don't have to spend a lot, and anything will help them. Okay. What else do we have? Will you bet your paycheck on our government not banning DJI drone across the board? I don't know about that one. The government is a little too crazy for me to place any bet. And I'm not a betting person in the first place, but betting on our government is not something I'm willing to do at this stage. Too many crazy people in there. So on both sides, by the way. All right, what else? We all had a chance to renew our certificate with a night flight. We all had a chance, and flying over people came out. Oh, yeah. When will the next time we can do a renewal exercise for Part 107? So, Andrew, the process that was put in place to get current for your night training is the same process that you will do every 2 years, every 24 calendar months, in order to get current again. Okay, so that's what you should look for. It's ALC 677 on FAAsafety.gov, and that's where you're going to do your training. Vic was shooting with his drone. Just join in. We just gave you a kudos, Vic. I think you heard it. I don't know. Just for the purpose of being honest, I don't like Chinese companies. That's fine. I think that's freedom of speech, absolutely. And I, I'm not going to say anything against that. Good to see, blah, blah, blah. What else do we have? If someone buys the video from you after the fact, how do you prove that it was originally shot for recreational purposes? Josh, I'm not going to lie, there's not really a way to prove it. You can't really prove intent. But again, it's the same thing over and over again. If you were doing a shoot at somebody's business and you crash your drone and something breaks or you hurt someone on the road or whatever it is, and the FAA has to investigate, they'll quickly realize that you were doing a commercial job and you didn't have Part 107. So that's how it works. Everything is fine until it's not, and then you have to explain yourself. What software do you recommend for creating 3D models? I have a Mavic 2 Pro. There is quite a few that you can use, from Maps Made Easy to Drone Deploy to quite a few. I'm having a blank right now. But Josh, we have a course on mapping, and I'm not trying to sell you the course, but we do talk about all these software and how to do it in there. There's quite a bit involved in making models, so make sure that you do it the right way. Will the Mavic 2 Pro be compatible with Remote ID? At this stage, it does not look like it, unfortunately. The Mavic 3 is Remote ID compliant. Yes, thank you, Vic. Do you think we will see 5G connection for drones, maybe for BVLOS? I think UGSC uses it. Yes, I do. Adrian Beloso is asking that question. Yes, I do believe that 5G in drones is the future. The paired NFE AI has a 5G connection. Technically, one of the DJI module has the ability to connect to one of the drone. You can put that on top of your drone, and it has 5G connectivity. I think last I checked, it was finally approved in the United States, but it's been really quiet, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. And then I think there was an Autel drone that had that as well. So yes, 5G connectivity, I think for BVLOS is going to be very much a necessity in the future. I can look at Slack from Zach. There you go. Look at that. All right, thank you. Zach is stepping up and he's going to help me with filtering all these questions. If someone buys the video from you, okay, so I've answered that one. Software training. If you have okay, perfect. Caught up. If you have a Part 107 certificate, are you responsible for making sure others than you that you are flying with that doesn't have a Part 107 stay within the regulation? Okay, Mark is a good question. So, as a Part 107 certified pilot, you can act either as pilot in command of the flight, which means that you are in charge of the flight and you can supervise someone who is flying the drone for you. You can't do both at the same time. You cannot fly your own drone and supervise somebody else, by the way. You can only do one of these two. So you can be PIC, pilot in command, remote pilot in command, and fly the drone, or you can be PIC and supervise someone flying the drone. It's the person manipulating the flight control. That's what the FAA calls it. So if you are supervising someone that's manipulating the flight controls and you guys are flying under Part 107, then you are responsible for what they're doing. If they break regulation, you're the PIC, you're the guy in charge. If you're flying with your buddies and you're flying under Part 107 and they're doing something else and they're not certified, it's not your responsibility. You're not the pilot in command of anybody else but you or the person you're supervising. I hope that makes it clear. What is a good app for scanning remote ID? Drone Scanner is one of them. Birmingham Flag Store is asking. Drone Scanner is the only one really that we've tested. I always draw a blank on these because we haven't done a full review just yet. So that's the only one I'm really familiar with. People might have more comments to help with that. Jonathan Jackson is asking, has the FCC cleared the Mavic Air 3 yet? No, Jonathan, the Mavic Air 3 is not cleared. So because it hasn't been officially released just yet, but I haven't seen, we've been looking for that. So I haven't seen the FCC approval and I haven't seen the remote ID approval either. So that would give us a good idea, I think, of when the drone is supposed to come out. So we'll see. But also, I'm going to add this, Jonathan. It doesn't mean that it's not FCC approved. It just means that the FCC hasn't released the fact that it's approved. So, somebody's asking, would you need a remote ID module for the Mavic 2 Pro? Yes, the answer is yes. Matt is asking, I'm constantly seeing FPV drones being used for video feed at concerts outdoor. How do they get away with it? They get away with it because nobody is going after them. That's really the bottom line. I see them as well. I think it's a terrible idea. And I just hope that nothing happens. And that's all I'm going to say. When operating as a public aircraft, or flight over people or moving vehicle, including the blanket or jurisdictional COA? Jameson Allen is asking. Jameson, that depends on what you were approved and what you applied for. It is possible to get a certain approval. There is a tactical BVLOS, tactical beyond visual line of sight, and you have the ability to get approval to fly over people and moving vehicles. So it all depends on what you applied for and what you requested. But yes, it is a possibility. Somebody's saying, great channel, thank you. I plan on doing part 107, sustained flight with the Mini 2 and prop guards with the Japanese battery, intending to keep myself category 1, but will remote ID send me overweight? Yes, unfortunately, based on our experience, we do have a Mavic a Mini 2 Japanese battery, Japanese drone as well, which is lighter, by the way. So if you have the American drone Mini 2 with the Japanese battery and the prop guards, you're going to need to remove a little bit of stuff from your prop guards, because otherwise it's going to put you right over 250 grams. If you have the Japanese version with the prop guards and the Japanese battery, then it's pretty close. I think it's like a gram or two underneath. If you put a remote ID module on top, it's going to put you over, which sucks. So I'm going to say a category 1 drone right now with remote ID. I don't think I've seen one just yet. So I don't know if we can re-engineer the prop guards to be lighter, maybe, and still be functional. That's a good question. Bill is asking, why can't I apply for a FRIA or FRIA? I have Part 107 certificate and would like to help out those recreationalists that can't meet remote ID requirements. Bill, that's just the way the FAA has made the rules. And at the moment, applying for a FRIA is, I'm pretty sure, reserved for CBOs. So I'm 99% sure of that. If I'm incorrect, I'm sure Vic will tell me in the comments. So we'll see. Am I allowed to submit a drone photo for my local paper on a recreational license? Well, Jordan, it depends. If you took the photo before the contest or whatever it is, under recreational rule, and that wasn't your intent, then yes. If you go out and you say, I'm going to go out to take a picture for the newspaper, then that's no longer recreational in this case because of intent. When can a tethered drone be used? You can use a tethered drone anytime and all the time. There are some rules about tethered drones under public safety use, but otherwise it's just a drone. So just fly it like you would any other drone with approval if you need to. I have my 107, own a Mini 2. I plan on flying it only recreationally after remote ID goes into effect. Should I drop the 107 registration and register under the recreational dashboard? No, dirt road drones. If you are flying, if you want to fly recreationally, oh, I see what you're saying. If you're flying recreationally and it's a Mini 2 and it's sub 250, you don't need to have remote ID. Don't worry about the registration. So you can still have the 107 registration in it so that when you fly it under 107, then you can do that. So don't worry about removing it. What's the best learning platform to learn about building and programming automated drone systems? Tracy, I don't know about building and programming automated drone system. I'm not sure, actually. I'm going to have to say, Tracy, you win. You ask a question that I don't know the answer to. It's pretty rare. I don't know. Maybe some people have a recommendation in here. Yeah. Okay. Vic confirmed what I said. FRIAs can only be submitted by CBOs and educational institutions. Any update on rumors on the DJI Mini 4? Oh, come on, Mini 4? Really? Already? Like we just get the Mini 3. I have not heard anything on the Mini 4, but I'm sure it's in planning somewhere. How much longer until we see colleges, high school competing for FPV races? I hope soon. I know there is already a tour of sorts for colleges to fly FPV drones. I know Don in our team used to do some of that. So yeah, that's something already. I don't know about the NCAA and the UIL. I don't know what UIL is. I'm not good with sports, or American sports, I should say. Under what condition can the FAA withdraw their category approval for operation over people? And who is responsible for ensuring that the approval hasn't been revoked? It is your responsibility. Puppet Access is asking that question. It is your responsibility as the remote pilot in command to make sure that your drone is on the list of approved drones to fly over people. So if it was revoked, it would be on the FAA website, on the DOC FAA website, and they would be able to show you there. So it is your responsibility, though. What conditions? If there was some kind of recall that made the drone unsafe, or if there was an accident where everything went according to plan and it still injured someone way more than it should have, then I'm sure the FAA would want to revoke that approval. Hard to tell what would cause it. What's the drone delivery company that's most likely to succeed in your opinion? I'm gonna say Zipline, probably, because Zipline has been doing this for a long time, and I think they have the right business model. Some of you may know this, but I'm not a big fan of drone delivery or the idea of drone delivery. I don't believe it's a viable option for certain things. I think it's a great platform for taking important things, such as medical related things or packages, and getting them from hospital to hospital or from hospital to patient or those kind of things. But I still believe delivering goods, regular goods every day, your coffee, your pizza, your tube socks, I still don't think it's a viable option, but time will prove me right or wrong. But with that being said, I think Zipline has the right concept. They've been doing this a long time in Africa. They've kind of shown that the concept works. And I'm going to say also, no, I'm not going to. Wingcopter. I think Wingcopter also has a good delivery model. So if you want more on that, by the way, we talked to quite a few people on drone delivery on the Pixel Drone Show. I know we haven't done an episode in a while with Haya, but we're working on that. You can hear all my opinions there, but also the opinion of the people that are doing drone delivery. And the episode with Wingcopter was one of my favorite episodes that we ever recorded on Pixel, and a great conversation with Bill, the person that was is no longer there, but he's working and still in the same arena. And you can go and listen to that. I think it's a good listen. When you're going to Puerto Rico, beautiful island, and there's Pilot Institute graduates out there that would love to have you guys out there. Oh man, don't tempt. Ben is saying that Zach and Ben are on their way right now. I would love for us to be able to tour and go all over the country and meet all of you guys. I think it would be amazing. Unfortunately, at this stage, I've got young kids at home, and that's not a possibility. Maybe in the future, in some years when they're older, I can take them with me, and then we can go on a tour of the United States and meet you guys. That would be absolutely awesome, and Puerto Rico included. We'll make the first stop there. How about that? Although that's, yeah. Sid is asking, is insurance recommended for recreational pilots? Yes, I think insurance is recommended for anyone at any time. There are some outfits that will do insurance for rather cheap. I think it's a good idea to have it. So yeah, I'm going to say yes. Are you guys and others fighting the DJI Autel ban? Florida already banned DJI. And yes, we are, as much as we can, involved in trying to fight this. Florida is past due. It's gone. I don't think there's much we can do about it. But yep, it is what it is. We're getting close to the end, folks, here, but I'm going to keep answering. I see the questions are still popping up. It's a lot easier now that Zach is going through and filtering. Who is monitoring RFID or remote ID? Does it show up on the airport tower radars? It does not. That'd be a good idea. What about cell phones and apps? So no, at this stage, there is no such thing as a solution that would show remote ID to the controller. Is it a good idea? Maybe. You have to realize that the people at the airport are pretty busy as it is without having to add more, but would it be good for them to say, hey, there's an airplane drone on final that's not supposed to be there? Yes, I think it's great. Should we give it to pilots as well in the aircraft? I think it's difficult. You guys know I'm also a manned aircraft pilot, and I don't know that I have time to look on the screen to see a drone and see that it's going to be in my way. I think that would be pretty distracting. So difficult answer to answer. Can broadcast remote ID be turned off if the drone is going to be used under 44809? No, you cannot turn off. And by the way, remote ID is required under 44809. The only time it's not required is if your drone is sub 250 grams. Can you turn off a standard remote ID drone? No, you cannot. Can you turn off a module? Yeah, just don't turn it on when you take off. So, yep. Okay. If you're holding a drone event, how do you issue a NOTAM? You don't issue a NOTAM unless you really have to. So the only time that you would want to issue a NOTAM is I would talk to the FAA before doing that. Typically, NOTAMs are issued because you were told to do so as part of your waiver. So I'll give you an example. We have a BVLOS waiver that we have to where we have to submit a NOTAM before we're going to do a BVLOS test. We got it to do distance testing, range testing with drones. So we would have to issue a NOTAM, but I would say talk to someone before you issue a NOTAM, making sure that it's the right thing to do. What are some good drone expos? I hear there's a big one in Vegas at the Caesar Palace. Yes, that would be Commercial UAV Expo. We will be there. We'll have a booth. So Tracy, if you're in the area, stop by and say hi. We'll have our big 20 by 20 booth that looks beautiful, and we'd love to have students come over. Do you know what causes remote ID error on DJI Gen 1 controller? I do not, unfortunately. It could be that you need to update the controller, maybe. I'm not quite sure with that one. Did you say DJI drone are banned in Florida? No, I did not say that. DJI drones are banned for public safety operation only in Florida. So if those drones were purchased with, well, these drones cannot be purchased with government money to be used for public safety. Let's put it this way. Where can you look up DroneDAMs outside of SkyVector? So Overdrive 148, DroneDAMs, which are drone NOTAMs, are only a SkyVector thing. It's actually not an FAA classification. So DroneDAMs are great on SkyVector, but that's the only place where you can find them. Is it true that a Part 107 is not needed for doing a paid video if flown indoors? Yes, that is correct. Anything indoors is not controlled by the FAA. Again, I'm going to say this again every time I say it. Your insurance company might want to make sure that you are Part 107 certified if you're going to be doing something to get paid and you're flying indoors, unless you want to do it without insurance, which is a risk that you're willing to take. All right. What insurance should one get for a drone? There's quite a few insurance companies out there that can do it. I would recommend doing a bit of a research first. Allman Drones, if you are in our Facebook group, go and put a comment on there and people will help you with that. All right, folks, it's past 5 o'clock here. I'm going to take only a few more questions and then we will end it. I appreciate all of you guys asking the question. A lot of questions going on. Holy crap, that's awesome. And a lot of people watching. What's your best guess for when training and cert for BVLOS for Part 107 holders not requiring waiver? My best guess is 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years. Why do I say that? I say that based on the mandate that Congress is going to give the FAA to do all of this. And then assuming that the FAA will be late. I know it sounds mean, but the FAA doesn't have the best track record for meeting deadlines provided to them by Congress. So I'm going to say 3 to 4 years. And maybe that's on the on the short side. It might be even longer than that. We'll see. Maybe we should put that on the calendar and see if Greg was right or not. Public safety. Think you got that one wrong, Greg. It's my understanding you can't fly a DJI drone in Florida. That is not correct, Jonathan. You can absolutely fly a DJI drone in Florida if you are not public safety. So I don't know if that's what you try to say. Only public safety cannot fly DJI drones in Florida. Everybody else can. Let's put it this way. Hopefully we're saying the same thing. Where's the proper place to display your registration number on your drone? Anywhere that is visible from the outside. That's the easiest way I can say it, Vincent. Anywhere on the outside. It cannot be hidden. Okay. All right, folks. We are going to end right here. I think that's it. I don't see Zach putting any more comments. Thank you to my team, Zach, Ben, Tom, if he's still there. I haven't seen him do much back there. We'll give him crap. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And then if you are in Ohio, please go see our team at Flight Fest. They're going to be there in Malvern, Ohio. It's a great event. If you've never been, really, really cool place to be. Go say hi. Go get your trust certificate done over there. We can do. You can get your certificate done and be compliant. What do some drones have? N numbers. I'll take that one and then finish. N numbers are not really for drones. I know some people do it. You can technically do it, but that's not what N numbers are for. N numbers are designed for manned aircraft. FA3 numbers, that's what the registration number starts with, is for drone. So don't do the paperwork for an N number. I know it might sound cool, but that's really not the way the process was designed. If everybody does it, the FAA is not going to be able to issue actual N numbers for aircraft because they're going to run out of numbers and because the system is going to be bugged down. So please don't do it. All right. Thank you, folks. I'm just looking for more comments. A lot of people saying thank you. Thank you for joining, as always. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We do this every 2 weeks. And then next week, we'll do our airplane one. So if you have airplane question, go on our airplane channel. And then also, I'm going to say this. I never ask people to subscribe, but last week, we had an issue with a lot of spam content that was really horrible spam, by the way. Absolutely terrible what people were saying. We had to change the feed to subscribers only. And so if you subscribe today, if we ever have to do this again, you will only be able to comment if you're a subscriber. So it doesn't cost anything. It helps us, quite frankly, reach more people. You can get notifications. So it's a good thing to subscribe. It supports us. So if you want to leave comments in the future in case this happens again, then subscribe today. That's just my message. And then come see our videos. We have a lot of good fun. We just posted a video recently on 3 editors and 3 pilots. We did a little competition. If you haven't seen it, head over to the channel. It's the last video we posted. We had a ton of fun trying to compete on who's going to make the best video based on some factors. That's all I'm going to say. And then we have our cool video that we did for the Mavic 3, which was a lot of fun, very funny to watch. So if you want a good time, go watch that. And that's it. All right. Folks, have a good time. We'll see you in 2 weeks or next week for the rest of the stuff or Friday for news update. That's it. Have a good day.